Hello, everybody, and welcome into another draft video here at the Hockey Writers YouTube channel. And we are into countdowns and talk about the different positional. We have articles here at the Hockey Writers in the draft guide and counting down the top 10 centers, wingers, defensemen, goaltenders. And we're going to have a video on each of them here and just kind of going through each of the top 10s. And we're going to start with centers. One of the biggest positions in the NHL that you need at least, I'd say, three deep now for centers. And these are the top 10 of this draft that are potentially going to be drafted here. They're all going to be drafted, but these are the top 10 guys. So we're going to start with number 10 as we do with countdowns. And I'll throw it over to you, Jacob. Who's the 10th center in this draft here?
Lucas Pettersson. He's going to be fairly solid center in the NHL. He's gonna do pretty well. He did pretty good in the J20 National. He was top 10 in scoring, I believe, in the entire league. It is a junior league, so it's not the men's league, but he has a really solid two-way game. He does a lot of good things with the puck, and he has really strong skating. So he's going to be one of those guys that maybe he projects as a third liner, like a high-end third liner, but he's going to bring a lot to the table, and a team's going to be pretty lucky to get him.
Yeah, Pedersen actually was a video that's going to be coming out talking about underrated prospects, and Dayton identified him as being one of the more underrated centers in this draft. He's not going to be drafted. He's going to be drafted in the first round, but later on in the first, and could end up being a really solid two-way center. And yeah, definitely worthy being on this list. All right, number 9, Julius Makansson from Everett Silvertips, a big center, one of the bigger guys. 6'3", great skater, good puck control. Of course, his size is a big draw. It's going to be a big draw to teams looking for size in the draft. And a lot of these bigger centers are usually drafted in the first 2 rounds because teams just love size still in the NHL. And definitely has that. Great forechecker. His hockey IQ is pretty high too. Has a great shot. But his defensive game does need work, and as a center, that's a pretty big thing. You need to be good defensively because you have a lot more responsibility than wingers. So we'll see if he can fix that. Defense can be fixed. I firmly believe that if you have issues, and a lot of these guys do have issues in junior for defense, and Mietin definitely has to work on that. But he's got a lot of attributes that is going to make him a pretty good center in the NHL.
Yeah, he has a lot of. He's kind of like Zach Hyman a little bit. Like he's a really strong net front guy. He's a good board battle guy. Like you said, he's a really aggressive forechecker, and I think teams are going to love that.
Mm-hmm. All right, number 8, Sasha Boisvert. Jacob, what do you got on him?
Yeah, he's a pretty solid two-way guy. He's not being drafted for his defensive play, but he has a lot of offensive skills too. And he has pretty solid size. He has a really good shot too. That's kind of the highlight of his game is his shot. But he's a pretty solid center with good skating, and he's one of these guys that teams are gonna probably take. He's probably going to go in the mid-20s of the first round, of course. And one team is going to pick him up, and he's going to spend a couple years developing in the NCAA. And he's going to come in and probably make an offensive impact pretty quickly in the NHL. He has a really translatable game. And again, like the defense, he can work on that, but he has a lot of the skills that, like in the transition, he's fine. It's just kind of the defensive zone coverage is the flaw with him.
And drawing comparisons, play style, Evgeny Malkin, pretty big comparison. Obviously not as high end, but I think he's going to be a first round pick. He a very good center. I wrote his prospect profile, so yeah, a lot. I mean, he doesn't need to work defensively, like you said, but he is a very good He's going to be a good two-way center once he figures everything out, and yeah, pretty good too. And number 7, Lennus Erikson, Swedish. He is, a good Swiss Army knife type of a center. If you want to, I like what you said in the Swiss Swedish Army knife. Good skater. Very good. It's another translatable skill set, I think, to the NHL. He's not going to be a guy that's going to drive play, but again, very good all around center. He does a lot of things well. And as someone down the middle, you've got to be like that. I mean, you've got to be good in all areas of the game because you're responsible for a lot. And I think Eriksson's going to be, again, a very good middle six, maybe center in the NHL. And you need those guys in the bottom of your lineup. And like I said, you need three centers deep in the NHL, maybe even four now. And Eriksson's going to be a pretty good addition to any team as they move forward in their center depth.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of his game, and I think he like a Mitch Marner light kind of. Like he's not going to ever reach the ceiling of Mitch Marner, but he's a really strong playmaking guy. He might translate to the wing once he hits the NHL. But he is pretty defensively sound. He like Mitch Marner, good defensive winger too. And he's just not somebody that I think is going to drive his own line. He he's going to be a really good, not a passenger, but a complementary piece to a high scoring center like Mitch
Yeah.
Marner is to Austin Matthews. And so, yeah, I think that would be a fantastic fit for a team looking for versatility in their lineup.
All right, number six, Michael Hague, or Hage. I'm pretty sure it's Hague. Jacob, what do you got on him? He played for the Chicago Steel, which pretty big USHL team. It seems to be able to churn out NHLers lately.
Yeah, he has incredible hands. Like his puck work is fantastic. He again, he's a really strong playmaker, probably one of the best in the entire draft this year. He's just the way he sees the ice, he can find a ton of open seams. He's really good at just generating offense. With that, his shot isn't as strong and accurate as you might hope for somebody going as high as he's kind of projected to go. But yeah, he's another playmaking center. He's going to do really well in the NHL. He has good skating, not excellent skating, but he has pretty good skating. But he's probably going to go in the late teens of the first round. And he's just somebody that I think a lot of teams are looking at as kind of a high floor and a high ceiling. But he's one of those players that you look at and you're like, yeah, he's kind of a sure bet to be at least a middle six guy.
Mhm. Again, going to be a very good two-way center once he gets there. And, been talked about that he could potentially be a mid first round pick. I kind of got a bit of a boost from the scouting combine. So yeah, we'll see where he goes. All right, into the top five. This is a big riser. T. Jaginla, Kelowna Rockets. He's been talked about now in the top five of the draft, not just the fifth center, but could potentially go in the top five. And in our mock draft here, in the top five mock that we just released on the Hockey Writers, he went to the Montreal Canadiens at number five. So there you go. We'll see where he goes, but he has really increased his stock. Lots of offensive skill, good size, good skating, creativity. Again, there's going to be comparisons to Jerome McGinley. Definitely not the same player at all. He is so different, and we've talked about on many shows here. But he's showing that he's going to be a really good NHLer and probably won't be compared to his dad because he just doesn't play that same way. But he does have the same work ethic, of course, coming from his dad and being aggressive. But Jerome McGinley's a power forward. McGinley's not that type of player, but he's going to be a heck of a talent in the NHL once he gets there.
Yeah, he's one of the biggest risers in the entire draft year over year.
For sure. Right, number four, Jacob Berkeley Catton.
Yeah, Berkeley Catton is he's definitely going in the top. Probably, I would be comfortable saying top 7 or 8. He's going to be a fantastic center. He is one of those guys that will drive his own line, and he's really speedy and he's really smart with the puck. So he's pretty elusive. He doesn't have the size. He measures. I don't know what he measured at the combine, but he was 5'11", listed prior to the combine. But he's really versatile. And I've used that word already, but he's really versatile because he can generate so much offense out of nothing. And just watching him play is fantastic. And I don't know if he won the WHL Player of the Year, but he was definitely in the running for it. And he scored 116 points this season in the WHL. So fantastic season from Catton. And one team's going to be really lucky to get him. He's really good at everything. He doesn't really have any major flaws other than his size, but there's nothing you can do about that.
I want to say 5'11" is not small to me. At undersized, I'd say the undersized tag again. I don't like it, but looking at guys like Zach Benson, that's undersized. Logan Stankoven, undersized. But of course, they both have figures that doesn't mean anything. And
No, you just
Canton
have to
is,
adapt.
yeah, you just have to adapt. And Canton definitely will. I mean, 5'11" isn't big, but there's a lot of 5'11" guys in the NHL. And yeah, he does a lot of stuff well, and he's going to be I mean, he's fun to watch and definitely going to go high in this draft. Right, on to number 3, Consta Helenius, a very well-rounded center. Again, we've talked about this top 10. There's a good theme there. Very good two-way centers. And, Helenius is going to end up being a really high pick. I think he's not going to drop. There's a bold prediction that we had, again, another video talking about him going to the 20s. That I don't know if that's happening. He's going to be high in this draft. A center that's very good at everything. He has a lot of different skills. You want to look at things that hands, shot, passing, skating. He does it all. And, for a finish, again, good defensively. Lots of Finns are. I think it's just what they're taught. And, yeah, Helenius is going to be a very good center in the NHL. Definitely top 6. And he's the third ranked on this list here. All right, number 2, Caden Lindstrom. Jacob, this guy's going to be, could end up going to the Anaheim Ducks, which is what was in our mock, in the top 5 mock. He's going to be going high, even though he was injured this season.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll just start with the injury. There was a lot of concern about his injury, and people were kind of wondering what it was going to be, and if it was worse than it actually looked like. And all those rumors got put to rest. He's fine. He's going to be great moving forward. But he's a really big physical center, but he has a ton of skill to go along with it. He is almost like Quentin Byfield with a little bit less skill, but more physical and bite to his game. Just a big center that knows how to use his body to his advantage. They just use it in different ways. Byfield uses it to protect the puck and make plays and whatnot, while Caden Lindstrom does play with that more physical and edgy game. So, but they're both great, highly skilled centers, and Lindstrom doesn't kind of suffer from being a physical guy. Like, he doesn't put the offense to the side for it. He's a great guy that can carry his own line. And he's going to go very high in the draft because of something like that. And especially when you consider his skating, for somebody that's, I believe he's listed at 6'3" right now. He's a kind of very well-rounded in a different way than Helenius.
Yeah, Lindstrom, that injury, I don't think decreased his draft stock much. And being very good in the combine didn't look like he's any worse for wear. I think that really helped him out. So that he's definitely going in the top 5. I don't know to who, but I think he's going in that 5. And I don't think he's getting past Montreal if he does.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so. So yeah, I think he's going there for sure. All right, number 1, and this is pretty obvious. Macklin Celebrini is the number 1 pick. Is going to be the number 1 pick in the draft. He's also the number 1 center. Again, well-rounded, hockey IQ, high hockey IQ, shot, creative, playmaker. He again does it all. He can be trusted in his own zone. He's really dangerous in the offensive zone, and was the youngest player to win the Hobey Baker Award, which is pretty big, especially when you're going up against some really, much older players, and he ends up winning it. And just like Adam Fantilli had a great season, he pretty much matched him and did one better. So, and he's going to be first overall for a reason, and is the number 1 center in this draft. All right, there's our top 10 centers, and we'll see where they all fall, which teams actually grab these guys, but they're all going to be drafted in probably in the first 2 rounds, and we'll see where they all kind of go in the NHL as we go. But make sure to check out everything else at thehockeygarage.com and our draft guide as we keep churning out the prospect profiles and all the features. And check out the article in written form in the link below. And you could have been following along as we were going through this too, if you wanted to. But you can check that out. And until our next video, we'll see you next time.